I just want to jump into is this is a subject. We know we had a lot of things go on this week, but I didn't want to cover everything. We talked about wars and rumors of wars, and just like that, uh, he said Martin versus Tommy Hearns. When Martin got lumped up by Tommy Hearns on Martin, it absolutely feels like that sometimes. And it's just by the grace of the Most High. Like, he'll allow you to pull an all-nighter, allow you to get the strength to lock in for just that one moment, but the whole time you was just getting lumped up. But the Most High, he is faithful and always with us. But as far as we talked about wars and rumors of wars and all of these crazy things going on, and lo and behold, last week, Pakistan and India started bombing one another, causing two new players in the midst of all the other things that's going on. We talked about the fires that was going on in Jerusalem or Israel, and I think this week they showed us like a whirlwind, like a fire tornado going on. That sounds like something angelic to me, but I didn't put any of that stuff in here. Just wanted to mention it. I think it's something else that I wanted to mention, but it's kind of slipping my mind. I didn't write it down or anything. But it's been quite a few things happening, and all praise to the Most High for that. So I just put something in here for the conspiracy people, but it's also the Most High's word is involved as well. So I just want you guys, some of y'all that follow me on like Instagram, y'all seen some of this stuff before, so it won't be new to everyone, but at least it'll be out there. And the first thing I want to talk about or show is this trailer from this TV show. The TV show is called Paradise, and I'm gonna let that play, and then I'm going to explain a little bit, play another video, and then show how art is imitating real life. So this is a trailer for the TV show on Hulu called Paradise. And if you haven't seen it, I recommend it. I definitely recommend it if you're into like conspiracies and things like that.
For the record, your name is Xavier Collins, correct?
Yes.
You have two children, James and Presley.
Yes.
When did you last see Cal Bradford alive?
I walked the president to his room when he turned in at 22:04.
You don't approve?
Those things would kill you.
Yeah. Well, they can get in line.
When did you discover the body?
I knocked on the door at 8:01. That's when I found him lying next to his bed.
You were the last person to see Cal alive. Did you kill him?
No.
Major Collins, you're about to be entrusted with top secret national security information. The president has cleared you at the highest level.
You're gonna want to hear this. Xavier, is a part of you happy that Cal is dead?
All right, so that was a trailer for the TV show called Paradise, and it you would think that's like it gives away all the good parts, but it really doesn't. And but the show, the premise basically is there is this man who becomes security detail for the president, and you saw in the movie he witnessed the president. I guess he was dead, and it kind of takes off from there. And then they give you a bunch of flashbacks leading up until that point, and they said that we want to share with you top secret information on what's going on. etc., etc., etc. I don't want to say too much, but this next clip is a clip from the show, and it has something to do with the plot of what is going on. And I'm gonna play that clip, and then I'll see how to proceed, if I want to, how much I want to say from there to not spoil it. But y'all gonna understand the premise, at least, of what my point is, regardless. So this is a scene from that show, and some people have seen it because I posted it on social media before already.
If I gave you unlimited resources gathered by a few friends and business acquaintances in my situation, if I told you to design me an underground city, something that could safely weather anything from a nuclear blast to environmental catastrophe, if I told you I wanted you to make it feel like Anywhere USA, a city for 25,000 people that felt like any city up here, a city with cars and cell phones and trees, what would you say?
Well, first I'd laugh.
Okay, and then?
Well, then I'd laugh again. Then I'd tell you it's impossible. 25,000 people. I mean, you have to have a space the size of like Toledo. So there's no amount of money that would allow you to excavate a space so large that an underground space would actually feel like, well, like Toledo. It's not possible.
So that clip, basically, the premise is that through their governmental meetings, they have people do presentations and things from time to time, and they were presented with the possibility of some coming calamity, catastrophe in the world, and they ended up having a team come together to bring that idea that she just mentioned to this guy on this airplane about if some type of world catastrophic event were to happen, what does he think about building an underground city that could hold maybe 25,000 people and feel like an actual city that we live above ground but underground. And so that was a little conversation between them, and he was saying, well, he wouldn't consider something as such as possible, but she was someone who worked underneath in the cabinet of the president, and a situation was possibly arising, and that's why she was asking him that. So this week, in real life, a woman that used to work in George Bush's cabinet or in his office administration or whatever the case may be, actually came out, and she reminds me of the lady from the show. It's crazy. It could have been a man, but I don't know. Art imitate life. They know what's going on. The conspiracy, who knows? But check out what she says she found from her research.
The underground base and city infrastructure and transportation system that's been built. And
I'm sorry?
yes, so we have built an extraordinary number of underground bases and supposedly transportation systems. Some of these are documented as part of the national security infrastructure. I think there are many more.
In the United States?
In the United States, and all over the world. From 2021 to 2023, I took one of the smartest subscribers in the Slayer Report network, and he and I spent 2 years collecting all the data and all the allegations on underground bases. We systematically went through and tried to estimate our guess, this is totally a guess, of how many underground bases, both underground in the United States but also underground under the ocean around the United States. And our estimate was 170, with the transportation network connecting them.
And what would be the purpose?
If you thought you were going to get a near extinction event,
so that's just a brief clip. It's a lot longer. I didn't want to belabor the point or go into super details, but if you're interested in more info on it, you can find it all online. You can find it on TikTok or whatever social media platform at this point. But she goes into a lot more details and explains who she is, and she has a website. I didn't really want to go into all of those things, but She was a governing official working under the Bush administration. And the thing of it is, it's just so funny. We know that they predictively program things so that people, it won't sound far-fetched, and you'll subconsciously be used to them by the time you hear them in real life. So you get used to them. It's another word I'm trying to think of, but and also I really like to share things when it's supported by the Most High. And in Revelation 6 and 15 and 16, he mentions that the kings of the earth would try to hide themselves in the mountains in the midst of the rock. So it says, and the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains. And then it goes on to say, eventually, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, from the wrath of the Lamb, for the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? So all praises to the Most High for his word and forewarning, and for allowing us to know and hear about these things ahead of time. And you know, people laugh at us when we bring these things up, and it's like the conspiracy theorists, like they say online, is up like 1,000 to 1. So all praises for the Most High for that. Nariah said it's like a conditioning of the minds, which is true. Did anyone have any comment about the show, about the underground cities, or have they heard anything in addition to as well? All right, no problem. So let's just jump right back into, that's all I had this week for the current events and things like that. I didn't want to dwell too deep into it, but jumping back into this, man, and I guess wrapping it up until the Most High placed something else on my mind or my heart for this and about this. So we've been talking about strange salvation, and that comes from the wisdom of Solomon. And well, what could that mean, and what could embody that statement, and trying to unlock and uncover maybe a more Hebraic lens and view of that statement. And so we covered the aspect from strange with the word zar a couple of times, and we're going to come at it from a different angle today, from a marvelous or wonderful angle. So the first thing I want to do is read this once more. Sister Joy, she suggested this last week, and it was very befitting. And I would like to read this again. The book of Ecclesiasticus, or Sirach, chapter 2, and it's verse 1 through 10. Sirach, chapter 2, verse 1. My son, if thou come to serve YAHAWAH, prepare thy soul for temptation. Set thy heart aright, and constantly endure, and make not haste in the time of trouble. Cleave unto him, and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at the last end. Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, and be patient when thou art changed to a low estate. For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. Believe in him, and he will help thee. Order thy way aright, and trust in him. Ye that fear YAHAWAH, wait for his mercy, and go not aside, lest ye fall. Ye that fear YAHAWAH, believe him, and your reward shall not fail. Ye that fear YAHAWAH, hope for good, and everlasting joy and mercy. Look at the generations of old, and see, did ever any trust in YAHAWAH, and was confounded? Or did any abide in his fear, and was forsaken? Or whom did he ever despise that called upon him? For YAHAWAH is full of compassion, mercy, and long-suffering, and very pitiful, and forgiveth sins, and saveth in the time of affliction. So all praise to the Most High for that. That's one of my favorite scriptures. It's something that we should recall and really meditate on when we go through times of trouble and adversity, because we can just look at the Most High's track record and the Most High's resume. So I'm thankful for the wisdom that was provided for us and a reminder that was provided for us. And when we think about it, you know, we've seen many examples of the Most High taking care of our people. And I'm so thankful to the Most High for that. I'm so thankful to have these records and to have the Most High's resume to be able to recall. And we talked about some before in the previous classes, so feel free to go back and check those out for yourself. And also, obviously, we got the scriptures on there with Noah's Ark in Genesis, the Exodus, and also YAHAWAH through his death or his resurrection, and how he set the foundation and conditions to help restore us back to the Most High. So we have that record, and then I just added a couple of more. Let me see here real quick. All right. So two of them I wanted to point out today was Malak Dawad, or King David, as our generation of old, with the Most High bringing a salvation, a wonder, a strangeness to bring deliverance to him and the people at the time. And the book of Gad the seer is Gad is mentioned in the Old Testament, so-called Old Testament, with Samuel and Nathan. I meant to put it in here, but it's featured in like First Chronicles chapter 21, and I think maybe Samuel's chapter 24. So we know that the books we have, we're missing a lot of books. We're missing a lot of writings, and there's no such thing as the canon to the Israelites. The canon or canonical order and writings, it was placed by our oppressors. So, you know, with anything, you chew the meat and spit out the bones, and you know, you read things for yourself and pray to the Most High, let him reveal things to you. But a lot of things in the Gad the seer, you can find that online. And I believe in it. I believe in some of these writings that was left behind, because they most of the time are witnesses to other things that we have. So like I said, we just got to comb through and pray the Most High to reveal these things to us. And then in Judges 7, we got the story of Gideon and the 300, something that we've covered before, something that you all have heard of before. We'll try to cover that as well briefly, just to share some examples of the Most High and his wonderful salvation. So I'm going to read this story. Hopefully you guys can see it fairly decently. I can't really make it any bigger than this. But if anyone wants the PDF or doesn't have it, you could just literally type Gad the Seer PDF online. But if you would like me to send it to you, you could just text me or message myself, or maybe like a Naraya or someone. I will send it to you. So this is Gad the Seer, the fire angel, and the Philistines. It reads, all the Philistines assembled themselves together to fight against Yashar'Allah. There were so many multitudes of Philistines that they could not be numbered. And Dawad was greatly distressed because he was afraid of the Philistines. And Yahweh said to Gad, go tell Dawad my servant, do not be worried about these uncircumcised Philistines, because tomorrow I will give them and those other oppressors with them into your hand. And Dawad said to Gad, I am not worthy of all the mercies that Yahweh has shown to me, but blessed be the name of Yahweh forever and ever. That night, A fire angel came from the Shemayim with his sword drawn in his hand, and he attacked the camp of the uncircumcised. It was such a great slaughter that none of them were left alive. And it came to pass the next morning, they came to Dawah, saying, Behold, the Philistines have been killed, and by someone who rose up against them, not a single one of them was left alive. And Dawah raised his voice and said, Now I know nothing can hinder Yahweh. He can save us from a many or a few, and his salvation can be in the blink of an eye. And he said, Blessed are you, O Yahweh, who has taken revenge for us on our enemies. And he set up a pillar and called it the pillar of revenge unto this day. So all praises to the Most High for this account and the reading of this word. But it's so amazing and magnificent when you think about it, because he didn't even have to lift a finger himself to fight. The Most High sent an angel. The angel came out of the Shemayim and slaughtered all of his enemies in a moment that night. And he wakes up and all the enemies are already dead. He didn't even have to lift a finger. All he had to do was just give praise and honor and glory to the Most High. And he mentioned something that I think we mentioned last week, where we were saying how the Most High can save us in the blink of an eye. He can just have us transported back to Yasha Allah if he so fit. But to show his might and power, sometimes the Most High will take the different route and allow you to see the Most High's power, allow us to go through a thing. And King Dawud, according to this account, said the same thing. He can save us from many or from a few, and his salvation can be in the blink of an eye. So all praises for that witness and the reading of the Most High's word. Did anyone have a comment about this story, or about the Most High and how he sent this fire angel to destroy our enemies? No problem, but just let that serve just as an example that the Most High has a track record of salvation and saving and delivering, his people. So all praises for that. The next one that I wanted to go over was Judges with Gideon, and it's in chapter 7. Judges chapter 7. And I'll just skip around. I'm going to try to read it and just to where it makes sense. So starting at verse 2, it says, And Yahweh, It says, And Yahweh said unto Gideon, The people that are with thee are too many for me to give to the Midianites into their hand, lest Israel vaunt themselves against me, saying, My own hand hath saved me. So the Most High, he wants to make sure the glory goes to the rightful place, which is him. Now therefore go to proclaim in the ears of the people, saying, Whosoever is fearful and afraid, let him return and depart early from Mount Gilead, or Mount Galad. And there returned of the people 22,000, and there remained 10,000. And Yahweh said unto Gideon, The people are yet too many. Bring them down to the water, and I will try them for thee there. And it shall be that of whom I say unto thee, This shall go with thee, the same shall go with thee. And whomsoever I say unto thee, this shall not go with thee, the same shall not go. So he brought down this people unto the water. And Yahweh said unto Gideon, Every one that lappeth of the water with his tongue as a dog lappeth, him shalt thou set by himself. Likewise, every one that boweth down upon his knee to drink. And the number of them that lapped, putting their hand to their mouth, were 300 men. But all the rest of the people bowed down upon their knees to drink the water. And Yahweh said unto Gideon, By the 300 men that lapped will I save you, and deliver the Midianites into thine hand. and let all the other people go, every man unto his place. So, of course, we know about the movie, The 300, and it's based on the Greek and Persian situation. And, you know, we'll have to break it down, but we know that every year when we read about the Maccabees and that time period, we kind of briefly mentioned that as well. But that story that they made the movie about uh, is about our people as well. And we see how, y'all know, I say the Most High is the ultimate mathematician, and we can see a story about the 300 men way before the Greeks even thought about coming upon the scene, or the Persians. So all praise to the Most High for that. Verse 8. So the people took victuals in their hand and their trumpets, and he sent all the rest of Israel, Yasharallah, every man into his tent, and retained the 300, and the host of Midian was beneath him in the valley. And it came to pass that same night that Yahawah said unto him, Arise, get thee down unto the host, for I have delivered it into thine hand. So how amazing is it that the Most High, I think I told Zamaria and Nariah this before, how amazing is it we have an Elohim that not only gives you the victory, he tells you beforehand, you got it, you're gonna win. Like, don't even worry about it. Like, when you really think about that, and I think Tazabah Abijah have said something into the men this week. Let me see. He said, wow, he said, how fierce will men fight knowing they can't die and the Malachim are swinging with them. And I hadn't even had this prepared fully. He had no clue on what I was going to say, but that was on his heart and on his mind to say this week. How fierce will men fight knowing that they can't die and Malachim are swinging with them. So all praises for that witness and knowing that the Most High is dealing with us. And it says, and it came to pass that same night that Yahawah said unto him, Arise, get thee down unto the host, for I have delivered it into thy hand. But if thou fear to go down, go thou with Purah thy servant down to the host, and thou shalt hear what they say, and afterward shall thy hands be strengthened to go down unto the host. Then he went down with Purah his servant unto the outside of the armed men that were in the host. And the Midianites and the Amalekites and all the children of the east lay along in the valley like grasshoppers for a multitude, and their camels were without number as the sand of the seaside for multitude. And when Gideon was come, behold, there was a man that told a dream unto his fellow, and said, Behold, I dreamed a dream, and lo, a cake of barley bread tumbled into the host of Midian, and came unto a tent, and smote it that it fell, and overturned it that the tent lay along. And his fellow answered and said, This is nothing else except the sword of Gideon the son of Yaash, a man of Yasharallah. For into his hand have the Most High delivered Midian and all the host. And it was so, when Gideon heard the telling of the dream and the interpretation thereof, that he worshipped and returned to the host of Yasharallah and said, Arise, for Yahawah have delivered into your hand the host of Midian. We already won. And he divided the 300 men into 3 companies. And he put a trumpet in every man's hand. And he put a trumpet in every man's hand, with empty pitchers and lamps within the pitchers. And he said unto them, Look to me, or look on me, and do likewise. And behold, when I come to the outside of the camp, it shall be that as I do, you shall do. When I blow with the trumpet, I and all that are with me, then blow ye the trumpet also on every side of the camp, and say, The sword of Yahawah and of Gideon. The sword of Yahawah and of Gideon. So Gideon and the 100 men that were with him came unto the outside of the camp in the beginning of the middle watch, and they had but newly set the watch, and they blew the trumpets and brake the pitchers that were in their hands. And the 3 companies blew the trumpets and brake the pitchers, and held the lamps in their left hands and the trumpets in their right hands to blow withal. And they cried, The sword of Yahawah and of Gideon. And they stood every man in his place round about the camp, and all the host ran, cried, and fled. And the 300 men blew the trumpets, and Yahawah set every man's sword. Let me mark that real quick. And Yahawah set every man's sword against his fellow, even throughout all the host. And the host fled to Bayat Shattah in Zarath, and to the border of Abal Mahala unto Tabbath. And the men of Yasha'Allah gathered themselves together out of Naphtali and out of Ashar, out of Manasseh, and pursued the Midianites. And Gideon sent messengers or malaks throughout all Mount Aparaim, saying, Come down against the Midianites, and take before them the waters unto Bayat Barah wa Yardan. Then all the men of Aparaim gathered themselves together and took the waters of Bayat Barah and Yardan, and they took 2 princes of the Midianites, Oreb and Zeb, and they slew Oreb upon the rock of Oreb, and Zeb they slew at the winepress, and pursued Midian, and brought the heads of Oreb and Zeb to Gideon on the other side Jordan. So all praise to the Most High. The Most High allowed these men, like you can see in the imagery that I put on here, with the trumpet in their hand. And you know that we went around Jericho 7 times with our ornaments and things of that nature. And on the 7th time, the destruction of the city came. The Most High just had these men blow the trumpets and shout the sword of Yahawah, and he had the enemies turn on one another. And I believe the Most High is doing the same thing today as we see all of our enemies begin to war financially, war physically, and fight amongst one another. The Most High will just have our enemies turn their swords upon themselves. And, you know, depending on what the Most High wants us to do, sometimes we'll get physical. Sometimes we'll just be in the spirit, and the Most High will take care of the rest. So the Most High has shown us time and time again that he will save his people, that he will get the glory, that he will not forsake the righteous remnant. And I'm just thankful to have a Elohim so great and so powerful and so marvelous and so wonderful. So all praises for that account. As he said, recall and remember the testimonies of old and our patriarchs of old, and the Most High has never let us down, not once. Did anyone have any comments about Gideon and his 300 or the fire angel with Malak Dawad?
Khan, just reading that or hearing that account made me think about this passage in Exodus. It's Exodus 14:13. When we were coming out of Egypt, it says, and Moses said to the people, "Do not be afraid. Stand still and see the salvation of Yahweh, which he will accomplish for you today. For the Egyptians whom you see today, you shall see again no more forever. Yahweh will fight for you, and you shall hold your peace." So yeah, it's just amazing to see the Most High's power and how he can save us through whatever means. So whether we have to fight physically or if he just accomplishes it for us, either way, he's the one kind of doing everything on our behalf, so we can just have that faith in him. So it's just amazing to see time and time again how he's just able to deliver us with ease.
All praises for that witness. Thank you, the water, for that. And that is definitely in line with what we are talking about today. And he's he's amazing, man. Yeah, it's really almost indescribable. So hitting the home stretch of this thing, family, hitting the home stretch of this thing. We've been talking for a while about the Most High's strange salvation, and we want to come at it from a different angle today because we can't be 100% certain because of the translations and things that we have, that when Solomon said, see the strangeness of his salvation, that the word was really strange. Obviously, we know English has no bearings on the Hebrew and it can't match it word for word. But there's other things and other words that also could be a possibility. And one of those words is to wonder, or a wonder, or a marvel, to be marvelous, or to be wonderful. So it could read as a wonderful salvation as well. And be honestly, man, I'm still learning so much about this, and I'm excited about it. I'm learning so much about our language and culture, and I know that it's some pieces that's missing that once he allows those to be unlocked, it's just going to allow our knowledge to just increase so much more. But this week we want to come at it with this word, pala. I know me and Ant had discussed it after the class last week, so maybe he has some things that he would like to say. But pala, we have the pa and the la, the shepherd's staff, and it could be like an open mouth. I didn't really hide every character this time, but it could be so many more than just these 6 that I have here on the screen. But let me read Nariah's precept from Psalms chapter 17. It says, and 28 says, for you will save the lowly people and will humble the eyes of the proud. For you, O Yahawah, will light my lamp, and my Elohim, thou will lighten my darkness. For by thee shall I be delivered from a troop, and by my Elohim I will pass over a wall. As for my Elohim, his way is Tamah, perfect. The oracles of Yahawah are tried in the fire. He is the protector of all them that hope in him. For who is Elohim but Yahawah? And who is Elohim except our Elohim? And that is Tehillim, or Psalms chapter 17, 28 through 32 from the Brenton Septuagint. So all praise for that word. So if anyone wants to unmute and you have an idea of what this word means or means to you, or how it could be in relation to salvation, feel free to do so. Obviously, we're going to cover as much as possible, but if anyone has any feelings towards it, definitely share. Bijah said, trace the leader or outline the leader. Trace the leader too could be like copy the leader or follow the leader. I would say like mimic or do what he does or do what he says. So I can see that. You can either type it in the chat, or obviously you can unmute if y'all have any thoughts as to this being the meaning that's used for wonder. There is another word that they use as well. It's called mawapat, but I didn't want to cover that word right now. It basically means the same thing, but they use different ones depending on the time, or like how older or whatever it may be, but they mean the same. But I didn't really want to delve. It was kind of deep enough I would say it was getting kind of deep enough. So I did. Maybe in the future we'll circle back to that. But this thing can mean a lot of things. And these are on here are not the only ones, but it could be the voice of authority, the voice of authority, because the shepherd staff represents authority, and the mouth or the paw represents the mouth. So in terms of being a wonder or a marvel, or the Most High doing something marvelous, he does it by his word or by his speech. With his speech, he spoke you into existence, into the world into existence. So divine speech or divine utterance beyond our understanding. Also, the shepherd's commands. The mouth or the paw can represent to command or command something. The shepherd's commands, like his commandments, equaling to be wonderful or marvelous. Then the visual of it with the paw and the shepherd's staff, it made me think of the rod of his mouth. The rod of his mouth. And the rod is representing of Torah, or the Most High's instructions through his word. And then also we're gonna see, and this was like the last thing that it came up last night, and I was like, wow, did it again. The Most High, Yah's word, aka the Messiah, Pala, the Messiah. Nariah says, I can see causing a breach in the wicked's authority. I can see that too, if we want to take it that way. The paw representing a breach and the shepherd staff representing the authority. So a breach in their authority as the Most High does what he does. And if something comes to you, feel free to type it in the chat, or if you want to unmute and explain, you can. These are just some of the ways, and just from my studies, man, that's just how it is with the Hebrew until we get back connected to the Most High. These things at different times, depending on the context and how they're used, can have so many different meanings. There's way more than just what's on the screen here. So jumping into what the Blue Letter Bible was saying, some of what they were saying, it says it means to be marvelous, to be wonderful, be surpassing, be extraordinary, or to separate by distinguishing action. So by the Most High's word, he separated us out of Egypt and made a distinguishing act between Yasharallah and the Egyptians. Pala, by the Most High's authority, he separated us. So that's one way to look at it. And it also can be the word for like difficult or hard, to be beyond one's power, to be difficult to understand, to be wonderful, to be extraordinary. So when you look down here at the Strongs, next to the red box, it says perhaps to separate, distinguish, literally or figuratively, by implication, to be, causatively, to make, great, difficult, wonderful, hard, hidden, things too high, miracles, to perform, separate, make singular, or wondrous, or wonderful, right? So y'all see how it says down here, Pala, but it has 3 characters. And that's the new modern, which I barely can read and understand, but it's a Pala and the like the ox head. So they have 3 characters instead of 2, right? Just by chance, did anyone see any problem with that? And you can type it in the chat if you can't unmute. But if you guys see a problem with that Pala having 3 characters and know how to explain it, or think you know how to explain it, just feel free to unmute or type it in the chat. So also, the same word is used when they say like marvelous work. They call it Pele, but Pele and Pala is the same word. So it just means a wonder, like a wonder of the Most High's acts of judgment and redemption, a strange salvation, a marvelous salvation, the Most High's judgment and redemption, right? So I don't want to go. I might come back to this this slide, but Pele and Pala, same thing. So I was speaking with the AI, the Chat GBT, and listen to this conversation. I just titled this Hebrew Rules, but um, the internet, no matter if it's a Google search, no matter if it's Blue Letter Bible, the lexicon, a lot of people won't have the knowledge that you all have when it comes to learning about this ancient language. And some of the things by the mouth of the Most High through using his vessels like Tazabah, Abijah, has allowed me to learn and allowed me to think and allowed me to grow in the areas of this language and things like that. Still a babe, still a long ways to go. But I asked them some questions because they're using 3 characters when, in my opinion, you only need 2. So I was gonna see if I was right or not. So I said at the top, in terms of Pala, shouldn't it just be 2 characters instead of 3? Because ancient Hebrew already had the assumed A sound or the A sound, so there is no need to add the A on the end. And the AI says, that is a sharp observation, and you're touching on major linguistic and scriptural point that matters when studying the ancient Hebrew or Paleo Hebrew specifically. So then they go on to say the word Pala in the standard Masoretic would be Pa, La, and Ah, or Pe, Lamed, Aleph. And it says in Paleo Hebrew and early Semitic languages in general, vowels were not written. They were assumed or inferred from context, and the Aleph often represented a glottal sound, not a vowel in the modern sense. So in that case, you wouldn't need Pa, La, Ah. You would only need the Pa and the La. If that is confusing for you, please unmute and ask me or type it in the chat and I'll try to explain it better. But basically, they spelt it with 3 characters, Pa, La, and the Ah, but there's no need to have the extra Ah on the end. And you can see that when you look at the translations from some of the books where they try to translate Hebrew. A lot of times they insert the Ah sound or the Aleph, what they call it, when there's no need. And I know Abijah kind of helped point some of that out to me, and you know, here and there I see it, and I'm looking at it and seeing if there's a time where it was needed, and I just asked, and you know, they confirmed that it really was only the 2 characters. I think I had more to the chat, but I didn't want to like keep it going. So then later on, as I was going, I asked another question over here to the right. And I said, it doesn't make sense to have a letter spelled as a whole word. 1 second. I said, it doesn't make sense to have a letter spelled as a whole word. So they try to tell us that the characters are Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Pei, Lamed, etc. And you don't make words with words. You use letters to make words. I said letters are sounds and then added together to make a word. And like Abba versus Aleph Bet. And it says, exactly, your reasoning reflects the ancient Semitic linguistic structure. Letters were originally pictographs, like Abijah mentions, representing sounds or concepts like mouth for Pa or house for Ba. Words were built by combining those sounds, not by spelling with other fully developed words. So, Abba equals A plus Ba, breath plus the house, the breath / spirit of the house, the father. The father is the spirit of the house. And then Aleph Bet, modern names for letters are post-biblical terms later constructs, they spell out the names of the letters rather than representing the original concept plus sound structure. So all praises for that witness, all praises for these Hebrew rules. We don't use words to make words. We use the letters, the sounds, abagadaha, and they equal unto words. I know if we was in person, I know if Tazaba Abijah was not tied up to the desk, he would, y'all know that look he makes, and he wouldn't be able to contain himself. He said he's doing his quote unquote Pentecostal shout to see such a witness, and all praises, man, to be able to lift someone's heart with information such as this. All praises. Brother Anthony says he sees to speak or declare of the shepherd, and he wants to use Psalms 145 as his witness. And I see that to speak or declare Psalms 145. Psalms 145 and verse 5. He says, I will speak of the glorious honor of thy majesty and of thy wondrous works. All praises. All praises. I will speak of the glorious honor of thy majesty and of thy wondrous works. To speak or to declare of Yah, the shepherd. Now we know that YAHAWAH is the shepherd, but the ultimate shepherd is his father. So I'm glad he put that in parentheses as well, because that is something that I said to myself that I wanted to remember to mention. So all praises for that. Anybody have any comments or questions about only being two characters or not using words to make words? So when y'all go back to, especially I know we got people that look at different knowledge and information, when y'all see, you know, the other Israelites and they're saying Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Pei, Lamed, we have mercy and grace on them, but your faith can be strengthened that that's post-biblical terms. It's man-made. It's not from the Most High. And feel free to use this as a witness or strengthen your own faith as well. So all praise for that. So the first one I wanted to tackle is a wonder amongst Yasher Allah. And I had to read it a few times because at first I was like, whoa, wait a second. But when the Most High in English, it says wonder or marvelous work, it can be in a negative connotation. It can be in a negative connotation because if the Most High worked a wonder or a marvel in Egypt, it was a wonder for us, but it was a negative to them, you know. So that's why Hebrew is Hebrew is much better than the English, because, you know, both ways you would say Palah, and we know that the Hebrew characters can have positive and negative connotations anyway. But the first thing I wanted to go to is a wonder amongst Yasher Allah, because judgment starts at the house of Yasher Allah. The Most High has worked wonders and will continue to work wonders and marvels amongst us as well. And once he's cooked up with us, if he would do such wonders to us, imagine what he would do to the other nations. Man, it's powerful. Imagine what he would do to the other nations if he gonna do this to his own people. So just for some context, I will go to Isaiah 29, a wonder amongst Yasher Allah. I'm gonna start at verse 10 just for some context and read down to the kicker. So Isaiah 29 and 10, it says, for YAHAWAH have poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep, and have closed your eyes. The prophets and your rulers, the seers, have he covered. Yeah. And that's just like something like we see today. You got a lot of our family and friends in a deep sleep, in a slumber. Verse 11, and the vision of all is become unto you as the words of a book that is sealed, which men deliver to one that is learned, saying, read this, I pray thee. He saith, I cannot, for it is sealed. And the book is delivered to him that is not learned, saying, read this, I pray thee. And he saith, I am not learned. And y'all, I'm just reading this for the first time again, and just, that's like, I don't know, like, that's kind of like us. We read it right to them, and they can't understand or see it. But I haven't meditated on this, but just, wow, just reading that right there. Wow, it says, I pray thee, and he saith, read this, I cannot, for it is sealed, and the book is delivered to him that is not learned. They got a Bible in their hands, saying, read this, I pray thee, and he saith, I am not learned. Wow. Verse 13, wherefore YAHAWAH said, for as much this people draw near to me with their mouth, they say they love the Most High, they say they love God, they say they love Jesus, and with their lips they do honor me, but have removed their heart afar from me, and their fear towards me is taught by the precept of men. Therefore, behold, I will proceed to do a palah among this people, even a marvelous work, palah, and a wonder. So palah wa palah, a marvelous work and a wonder amongst Yasharahla. And the marvelous work is, for the wisdom of their wise men shall perish, and the understanding of their prudent men shall be hid. So for how many thousands of years have our people been lost? That the prudence, that the understanding of our men have been lost, to not be able to teach the wives, to not be able to pass it down to the children, which would cause destruction amongst the people, amongst ourselves. So that would turn us against ourselves, because we have no righteous direction. How the Most High turn our enemies against one another, this will cause us to turn amongst each other, and in turn destroy ourselves, because we don't have the knowledge of the Most High. And the Most High called it palah wa palah, marvelous work and a wonder. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is terrible. But, you know, I'm understanding that the Most High declareth a thing by his authority to do this because of our sin and our wickedness. And if you have a comment about that, obviously interrupt me, or you could type your thoughts about that in the chat. So the next one, wonderful salvation, kind of going in line with what Brother Anthony was saying. So we're going to Exodus chapter 3, verse 20 and 22. Exodus chapter 3, verse 20. It says, and I will stretch out my hand and smite Egypt with all my palah, all my wonders, which I will do in the midst thereof, and after that he will let you go. So after the Most High shows his wonderful acts, his wonderful, marvelous acts, then the Egyptians will let our people go. And I will give this people favor in the sight of Egyptians, and it shall come to pass that when you go out, you shall not go empty, but every woman shall borrow of his neighbor, of her neighbor, and her that sojourneth in her house, jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment. So this is an example of English not matching Hebrew. When it said we were going to go out, and the women like Kaya and T and Miss Joyce and Sister Miss Joy and Sister Joyce, they're gonna borrow from their neighbor, and of them that sojourneth in their house, jewels of silver and gold, and put them upon your sons and daughters, and you shall spoil the Egyptians. When we think of borrow in English, it's like Nariah let me borrow a cup of a bag of tea, and I paid him back a bag of tea. Or he let me borrow $20 and I paid him back $20. When we leaving out of Egypt, we not paying them back. So the word definitely wouldn't be borrow in English. And I think Tazabai, I can't explain it off the cuff, but I know it has something to do with, like, in English they would say like rob or rob, a rob, to be plentiful or to almost like a blessing. He could probably type it in the chat to help me out. But basically, you coming up off them jewels and they coming with us and you ain't getting them back. And the Most High said all the things that he done in the midst of Egypt was marvelous or a wonder amongst the Egyptians. Like, they're looking and they're like, wow, which is also strange. All praise God. Please unmute. Thank you.
All praises. Definitely enjoying this class. This is what I've been meditating on. But that verse doesn't make sense contextually, because to borrow, like you said, means that you're going to pay it back. And the Most High gave us instructions never to return to Egypt. So that text is definitely out of context with the original Hebrew. Pretty much, we're going to take what we want and we're out of here. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Anything else out?
Kyle, I'm on my last break. I'm just going to keep listening in.
Okay, cool. All right. Nariah said, we didn't borrow, we took it. The Egyptians ran that. He laughed. Absolutely. Absolutely. So all the things the Most High did was palah to the Egyptians. Let's keep it going. Wonderful salvation. Fast forward to fast forward to a future time. It could be present soon or future, but the Most High spoke on what he did being palah in Egypt the first time. But we have a witness that the Most High is going to bring the plagues to Egypt again, meaning the land of bondage. And that can be found in 2nd Ezra chapter 15, and we're going to start at verse 10. And I'll read that and kind of discuss for a second as well. So it says, behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt. We're not in the land of Egypt, but we are in the land of Egypt. Egypt meaning a land of bondage. But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues. Here's the kicker. As before. So this is a separate time. I will do again as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. So if the Most High, if we just read Exodus 3 in chapter 20, and the Most High used the word palah, he worked a wonder amongst the Egyptians. But then he says, I'm going to destroy them with plagues as before. If he says, I'm going to destroy them with plagues as before, then we can equate the plagues with palah. We can equate the salvation of our exodus out of Egypt with palah. And now the Most High is saying, I'm going to do this again. Verse 12, Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and the punishment that YAHAWAH shall bring upon it. They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through the blasting and hail and with fearful constellation. Woe unto the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. So the Most High, we saw all the way back at the beginning, he have their enemies turn and fight each other. He have us fight ourselves when we go against him. And he's saying that he's going to do that again. He's going to work a wonder, a palah amongst the world. Palah for us and a palah for them. But for us, it's a palah salvation. For them, it's a palah judgment. So if you have any comments or questions about that, hopefully that could be a witness for you that the Most High is going to do this great thing once again. Feel free to unmute or feel free to interrupt or just type in the chat. Right. And then also I said one of the definitions or meanings would be the shepherd's commands. And we know the shepherd is the Most High. Even if you said the shepherd was YAHAWAH Shai, we know that his commands come from his Father. So both of them work. So Psalms 119 and 129 says, thy testimonies are palah. Thy testimonies are palah. Therefore my soul doth keep them. Thy testimonies are wonderful. And we know Psalms 119 is talking all about the Most High's commandments. Let me make sure, just double check. It says, yeah, so thy testimonies are wonderful, therefore my soul doth keep them. The entrance of thy words giveth light, it giveth understanding to the simple. I open my mouth and panted, for I long for your commandments. I long for your commandments. So the Most High's commandments are palah, the shepherd's commands, the authoritative commands, the words of instruction. Like if you see the pa, the words, the staff instruction, the words of instruction, palah Torah. Y'all see that? Go ahead, Op.
The water. I also, as you were reading Psalms 119, and we had a saying in the 80s, my word is bond. So Palah, his word is authoritative. And then this verse here is saying his testimonies is Palah. We brought out a couple years ago, testimonies of the Most High is the witnesses, the receipts that he keeps his word. So his receipts are bond. His receipts are solid. So that's another way to look at it. All praise to the great I am.
Wow, yes, sir. Thank you for that. That's how it is. We come together. I appreciate that thought process. That makes so much sense that the Most High's testimony, his witness, his track record, his word is bond, his word is authoritative. When he says something, it's fact. Take it to the bank, write a check, and cash it. All praise to the Most High for that. Great witness, great testimony, great way to reword that. But we see in Psalms 119 the Most High talking about his goodness, his testimonies, his commandments, and so his witnesses and his commandments are palah. I think I had another witness for this, but I was in a fight, so I think I left it out. But there are some other witnesses to that as well. So going on to seeing the Messiah, the word made flesh, the Most High's word. We know the Most High is the shepherd, the authoritative one, the leader, the head of all, and his word, we know that his word is his son, YAHAWAH, right? So going back, I thought about that. Y'all would have just had to been here to see it, how I came upon this. But I actually saw this after I thought that it could be the Messiah. But when you go all the way down here to the bottom of the Strong's, it says that that word Pele, which is Palah, it goes into the part about the Messianic king, which would be YAHAWAH being the wonderful counselor. But we're going to go deeper into it because we know we got different texts and different scriptures, but we're going to go into that. But I didn't even know that was there until after the fact, trying to prove what I felt the Most High was showing me. So we know that the Most High said that his word became flesh, and that's related to the Messiah. I guess I'll just get it real quick. John chapter 1 and 1. And it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And when we drop down, verse 14, it says, and the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. So the Most High's word, the authoritative word, having permission to speak as an authority, Palah Mashiach, YAHAWAH. He also said that he was the good shepherd. We covered that before because we covered this book of John, but just real quick, John chapter 10 and verse 11, he says, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep. So we know that he is the good shepherd as well. And he said that he was the one who speaks as with authority. That's Matthew 7 and 29. Matthew 7 and 29, it says, for he taught them as one having authority and not as the scribes. And we've seen through the accounts and witnesses and testimonies that's been left to us that he performs wonders amongst us, turning water into wine, raising the sick from the dead, healing people from leprosy, and all of the wonderful acts that he did and the things that could not be named that the Messiah has done. So all praise to the Most High for that. And all praise to the Most High for his son, the Palah Mashiach. Before we get to the end here, another witness to the Messiah being Palah Mashiach, is Isaiah chapter 9, verse 5 and verse 6. Isaiah chapter 9, verse 5 and verse 6. And the KJV is not exactly the best translation here. So I put both in here because in this case, it would be almost like a nail on the head for my point that I'm trying to make, but I still like to be fair to what we believe the truth is. So it says, for us, verse 6. I meant verse 6. I don't know why I put verse 5 in there. For verse 6. For to us a child is born, and unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor. Palah, they say Pele, but we know it's Palah, shall be called Palah. So, I mean, point blank period right there, that could be the end all be all. But we know it says the mighty God, the everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace, and that causes a lot of confusion. So we more so subscribe to the Greek Septuagint because we believe that since it's closer to the time of the writings or the original, you know, obviously like the telephone game, the further along you go, a lot of times the message gets lost. So we believe that the Septuagint is a better translation. So like I said, I could have just been disingenuous and left that point there as it was, and try to say, oh, see, I'm right. But, you know, I wouldn't do that. That's not, I would have just left it out altogether if that was the case. But I can still use this Septuagint translation, and it means the same thing. It says, verse 5, that's why I put verse 5. For a child is born to us, a son is given to us, whose government is upon his shoulder, and his name is called the Messenger of Great Counsel. For I will bring peace upon the princes, Yasharallah, and health to him. His government shall be great, and of his peace there is no end. It shall be upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to establish it and to support it with judgment from righteousness from henceforth and forever. So this is saying, this doesn't say that he is the everlasting Father or anything of that nature to confuse with the Trinity or anything like that. So this is a more fair and more accurate text, but it says he is the messenger of great counsel, Palah. The Pa representing the message or delivering a message, or the messenger, and of great counsel, counsel being led by the authoritative shepherd or his father, or the Most High's Torah, his instructions. Y'all see that? You could just put a 1 in the chat if it's making sense. If it's not, you can unmute, ask me a question, or if you have a witness, feel free to drop it as well. All right, Abijah, he said a 1 that it is making sense. I appreciate that. This is representing Palah Mashiach. The Most High Son is a wonder. The Most High Son is a marvel who does marvelous works and marvelous acts. And I was just like, wow, this is blowing me away. So all praises for that from the Most High. The last point that I have, that I saw, taking the functionality of the characters, I saw the rod of his mouth. I believe that he is going to perform Palah. He is going to do Palah works through the rod of his mouth. And we can see that in the scriptures. And on the side, you just got a little clip of Dragon Ball Z, which y'all know that's been following us, that I explained the correlation to the Saiyans, which the most original form of their name was Zions, like Zion, and how they're related to us. And you see here, this is one of Naraya's favorite characters, Broly, one of the most powerful of our nation, in a sense, quote unquote. And he is blasting an energy beam from the depths of him through his mouth, which is bringing destruction upon the waters, and is bringing destruction upon the mountains, almost like what we talked about last week with the stone coming and hitting the kingdoms and destroying them, or waters representing the people, our enemies, obviously. But you can find a witness to the rod of his mouth. One of them we read last week, and second witness we have on the screen as well. So we have Isaiah chapter 11 and verse 4, Revelation chapter 19 and verse 15. The rod of his mouth, Palah. Isaiah 11 and 4. But with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and reprove with equity for the meek of the earth. And he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth. And with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked. Palah Mashiach. Now, Revelation chapter 19 and 15, it says, out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he shall smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. The Most High's word, his son, YAHAWAH, ruling with the rod of iron. The rod of iron, represented by the shepherd's staff, is the Most High's Torah. Palah Torah, Wa Palah Mashiach. So hopefully you guys can see that. If not, I pray that you can meditate on it. If you find more witnesses, enlighten me. If you find that I'm off base, you can enlighten me to that as well. But so far, it seems like a lot of you all are able to see what we're bringing out. And at this moment, you all, if anyone, any comments or questions or concerns, you can feel free to unmute, and we can discuss this further, as this is the conclusion here. All right, family. Tazabah Abijah said, wonderful work. Thank you for that. Thank you for that encouragement. I appreciate it. All praise to the Most High for his faithfulness and his wonderfulness. Just allow me to see such things. Allow me to be worthy to sit up here in front of you all and to bring out certain things to help me continue to fight this thing and battle and go through each and every day. But I thought this was fun. This was great. And just to be able to see all of the different meanings of his word. So when Solomon said, they shall see the strangeness of his salvation, we covered Zar from the harvest and the sickle perspective, which we know that that's something that's coming. We covered Zar from the cutting off of the head or crushing the head of all the other nations and kingdoms, which we know that Hamashiach is prophesied to do. So Zar Hamashiach. That's why he has all these names, and he will have a name that none of us even recognize. And now Palah Mashiach, Mashiach, as well, the wonder of Yah, and that he will work wonders. So all praises, man. We could see the marvelous works of the Most High salvation. That could have been what Solomon, Wisdom of Solomon was saying. They shall see the wonderful works of his salvation. So hopefully that gave you guys an idea more about Hebrew, more about his ways and his word. And we just pray that the Most High counts us worthy to experience his salvation. If you guys have any final questions or comments, feel free to unmute. If not, we will pray out, and I pray you enjoy the rest of your day.